You think you're a good person, right? But what if a guy in a lab coat told you to shock someone? Would you do it? What if everyone around you said 2 + 2 = 5? Would you stay silent or play along? These 10 psychology experiments aren't just studies. They're mirrors. And spoiler, you're not going to like your reflection. You ever want a Coke, but everyone else at the table orders sparkling water, and suddenly you're like, maybe, I'll just get water too? Yeah, that. Here's the actual experiment. You're sitting in a room with 7 other people. You think it's a vision test. There's a big card in front of you with a single black line on it. Then another card, 3 lines labelled A, B and C. Your task, say which of the 3 lines matches the first one in length. It's obvious, everyone can see it. Then the first person says A, second person A, third, fourth, fifth, all A. You're last, you stare at the lines, the answer is clearly C. But now your brain's doing a little dance. Do I trust my eyes or trust that everyone else didn't just inhale glue this morning? You hesitate, you swallow, and then you say, A. Not because it's right, but because it's easier to be wrong with everyone else than right by yourself. Solomon Asch ran this setup dozens of times, and 70% of people gave at least one obviously wrong answer, just to go with the group. They weren't blind, just allergic to awkwardness. Because sometimes the fear of standing out is louder than the voice of truth. And let's be honest, truth doesn't come with group approval or a lunch invite. This is how it goes. A man in a white lab coat tells you, press this button, it's part of a memory test, he got the answer wrong, just a little zap to help him learn. You're not the violent type, you flinch when you kill a mosquito, but the guy said it's for science. Welcome to Milgram's obedience study. You're the teacher. In the next room is a student strapped to electrodes. Every time he answers wrong, you give him an electric shock. 15 volts, 45 volts, 150 volts. Soon he's screaming that, let me out, I have a heart condition. You hesitate, but the man behind you, clipboard, calm voice, says, please continue. You glance back, he's not shouting, not threatening, just gently encouraging genocide. So you press the button again, and again. Milgram found that 65% of people went all the way to 450 volts, the maximum, just because someone who looked official told them to. Not because they were monsters. Because they were polite. Because evil doesn't always wear horns. Sometimes it wears clean shoes, clear instructions, and a charming tone. You ever see someone get promoted at work, and 3 days later they're scheduling mandatory fun and checking if your lunch break was too joyful? That's the Stanford prison experiment in a nutshell. Okay now, 24 college guys volunteer for a study. Half are made guards, the other half prisoners. They're locked into a fake prison set up in the basement of Stanford's psychology building. It was supposed to last 2 weeks. By day 2, the guards are improvising punishments. By day 3, they're waking prisoners up at 2 a.m. to make them do push-ups. Day 4, psychological abuse. Day 5, bags over heads, solitary confinement. Nobody told them to do this. They weren't following rules, they were creating them. Meanwhile, the guy running the study, Dr. Zimbardo, starts identifying as the prison superintendent. He stops being a scientist and starts being warden Netflix drama. They had to shut it down on day 6, not because the prisoners broke, but because the researchers forgot it was all pretend. So what did we learn? That you don't need evil people to build a system of cruelty. You just need ordinary people. And a name badge, because once you put on the uniform, you're not a person anymore. You're the role, and roles don't cry, they delegate. Ever scream at a driver while your kid's in the back seat? You think they're zoning out, chewing on fries. But guess what? They just added jackass to their vocabulary list. That's the Bobo doll experiment in real life. Here's what the scientists did. They showed kids a video of an adult absolutely wrecking a giant inflatable clown named Bobo. Punching, kicking, smacking with a little hammer. Then they left the kid alone in a room, with a hammer and a Bobo, and 0 adult supervision. Guess what happened? These kids didn't just copy the violence, they got creative. Take that dumb Bobo. One kid even drop-kicked it like WWE. Turns out children are not just watching, they're recording and remixing with sound effects. So what did we learn? That parenting is less what you say and more what you accidentally do when you're hangry and your Wi-Fi's down. Because your kid doesn't need a lesson plan. You are the lesson plan, and they're binging your series every day. Scared of public speaking? Hate office meetings? Avoid eye contact like it's contagious. Maybe you're not shy. Maybe you just fell in the grocery store once, and your whole family laughed. Welcome to the Little Albert experiment. In the 1920s, a 9-month-old baby named Albert met a fluffy white rat. He loved it, giggled like he saw a walking marshmallow. Then the scientists brought the hammer. Literally, every time the rat appeared, they smashed a steel bar with a hammer. Bang! Albert cried, again and again. Soon, all it took was the rat. No noise, no hammer, just fluffy evil. He started trembling at anything white and soft. Rats, white fur coats, and Santa Claus, all ruined. So what did we learn? Fear isn't something you're born with. It's something you download, usually from childhood, and no password required. Because trauma isn't always the fall, and sometimes it's turning around and seeing the people who love you, clapping. Remember that one time in school, you answered a question and the teacher went, "Why do you talk so weird?" Since then, you rehearse every sentence in your head, twice, and still don't raise your hand. This isn't shyness, and it's training. Here's what went down in 1939. A psychologist took a bunch of orphans and split them into two groups. Group A got compliments. "You're speaking so well." Group B, every time they opened their mouth, they heard, "You're saying that wrong. You sound weird. You might have a speech problem." No yelling, no violence, just that calm soul-crushing tone. Guess what happened? Some kids in Group B started stuttering, avoiding speech, panicking over words, even though they spoke perfectly fine before. Some never recovered, not even as adults. So here's your monster. Not trauma, not genetic, just someone smiling politely and saying, "You sound nervous," because the sharpest blade in language isn't screaming, it's doubt, served with good intentions. You've had 3 jobs. Every boss gaslighted you. Now someone raises their voice and you say sorry before you even know why. People call it chill. It's not. It's reflexive submission. Enter the experiment. Psychologists put a dog in a cage with an electrified floor. It gets shocked. No escape. It whimpers, it shivers, it endures. Then plot twist. They open a tiny gate. The dog can jump out now. But it doesn't. It just lies there, shaking, taking it, because somewhere along the way it learned trying doesn't help. Now swap that dog with someone you know, or might yourself. Job offers, better partners, second chances, and they just sit there saying, "I don't think I can." What's broken isn't willpower, it's the belief that trying is pointless, and here's the part that stings. It's not that you're not fighting back, it's just that you've survived so many shocks, you think the next one won't kill you either. You're walking down the street, someone collapses on the sidewalk, you freeze, but hey, 10 other people are around and none of them are moving. So, maybe it's not your business. Welcome to the bystander effect. In the 1960s, psychologists staged fake emergencies. A woman screams in another room, smoke pours under the door. A man collapses during a discussion. If you were alone, you probably helped. If there were others around, you suddenly became a statue. Because helping became a group project. And like every group project, you assume someone else would do it. In one case, 70% of people ignored the smoke, just because no one else got up. So what did we learn? That responsibility, like Wi-Fi, gets weaker the more people are connected. Because in a crowd, we don't look for what's right. We look for what's normal. And if ignoring screams is normal, then congratulations, you're officially part of the problem. You start a new job, your manager says, "I can tell you're going places." Suddenly, your spine straightens. Your Slack messages get presidential. You volunteer for a task before the meeting ends. You're not faking it. You feel different because someone expected greatness, and weirdly, you start delivering it. The experiment, researchers told teachers. See these kids, super high IQs. Total lie, randomly chosen. The teachers didn't teach differently, but they looked at them differently, encouraged them more, paused before criticising, smiled more often. Months later, boom, those kids actually scored higher, because someone believed they could. The flip side, when teachers thought kids were duds, guess what happened? They became duds, because belief is a builder, or a bulldozer. Expectations aren't mirrors, they're construction plans, and some people are still stuck in floor zeros because no one ever laid the first brick. People bloom where they're believed in, and wilt where they're managed. Or my personal favourite, confidence is contagious, so is doubt. Guess which one your boss has? You wake up, feel it in your bones. Today's cursed, you oversleep. Drop your phone into the sink, spill coffee into your shoe, then whisper, "See, I knew it." But here's the twist. It wasn't fate, it was you on autopilot, driving straight into the mess you manifested. Researchers gave random people this juicy gossip. That guy, kinda unreliable. No proof, no facts, just vibes. Guess what? People started avoiding him, didn't invite him to collab, didn't listen to his ideas. Soon, the guy actually became unreliable. Stopped trying, stopped showing up on time, stopped caring. Then they flipped the script, told others, "He's dependable, a rock star." Suddenly, bam, he was dependable, took initiative, led group work, remembered birthdays. Your belief isn't just a weather forecast, it's climate control. You're not watching the world unfold, you're writing the damn script. If you treat life like it's a scam, don't be surprised when it cons you. So after all this, you might be thinking, I'm not that easy to manipulate. But what if I told you some people can hear what others are thinking, that one baby mouse can give you nightmares for life, that your thoughts can change water? Next time on Julia's Story Times, we go deeper into the strange, the spooky, the straight-up psychic. Episode 2, The Psychology So Weird, It's Basically Witchcraft.